Okay, so Matthias, yes. What were we saying? Oh, so people don't do things at certain ages. So there's like requirements, right? So that's that's why we have laws. Very good. Anyone else want to add? Jaden. Okay, so keep order so things are out of place. So for example, like there's not garbage in the middle of the freeway, right? Or in the middle of the road, whatever. Yeah, that's a good idea. What else? Yeah, right? The big one. So people aren't just like doing whatever they want, killing, right? That's insanity. Mackenzie? Yeah, right. So there's certain procedures put into place for people who, maybe shouldn't be handling weapons or shouldn't have them. Yeah, that is an important law. Good job, Mackenzie. So what would our life be without laws? Nightmare, chaos, right? Craziness, right? Yeah, there'd be you don't even know what would be happening, right? Just be wild. So as we can see, laws are very important, right? So on your next slide, the second one down, you have think about it, government. So I want you to create a web. It's already created for you. And all you have to do is type in words that you associate with government. So when I say the word government, what words are you thinking about? That's what you're putting in that slide too, okay? So take a minute, talk about it amongst yourselves. Or, I mean, I guess just figure it out yourself. We'll be in groups in a minute. So you're typing words that are associated with government. When I say the word government, what's the first thing that pops in your head? That's what you're typing, okay? No, the web, honey. We're talking about the web. Okay, so you're typing words that you associate with government. All right, so you still might be typing. You don't need to fill out every block on the web, but let's hear some ideas. Someone raise your hand and tell me, what is a word you associate with government? Mackenzie. Big and powerful? Yeah, good. An army, yeah. Matthias? Laws, very good. Okay, helping society. That's good too, Ari. What else? Military, right? Okay, so government also obviously has ties to the military. Good. Anyone else have any ideas? Safety, yeah, of course. Leaders. Anything else we want to add? We can add some more words once we talk about the definition and other aspects of government. So keep the words that we already gave out in mind when we're talking about. Okay, so we are on our next slide down. So that means slide 3. You will see a fill in the blank notes section. Okay, so government, they make and change laws. Okay, so that's what you're putting in the blanks there. Make and changes laws. So we had someone say the word laws, right? That's definitely associated with government. In the web? Oh yeah, of course, you can put whatever you want in the web. Yep, but we are on the guided notes now. So we need to make sure we're putting in the words that fill in the blank, right? So make and changes laws. All right, our next fill in the blank section describes how much people should pay in taxes and how that money should be spent, right? So we pay taxes on multiple things in our lives, right? The government takes that money and they put it into the community, right? Or put it back into our army, whatever it may be. They're trying to build up our world with our taxes, right? Kenzie? There's 1 month where you turn in your taxes. Yeah. It's usually April. Yeah, it's April. Yep. So yeah. All right. Government can control access to education and healthcare. So these are two words I didn't hear. I heard them a little bit throughout the day yesterday when I was teaching this, but that's okay. Maybe it wasn't the first thing that popped in your mind, and now you're looking at it and you're like, oh yes, of course the government has to do with healthcare and education, right? If the government didn't regulate education, maybe you guys wouldn't have to show up to school, right? Yeah, school's fun, huh, Mackenzie? You should like it. And then healthcare, right? Usually when people get into office, they put forth healthcare policies like Obamacare, right? So there's just different aspects in that the government is involved in with both of those. All right. So the government decides if the people have the right to elect those in power. So certain governments don't allow people to elect their commander in chief. For example, in the United States, we do, correct? We vote our president in. However, in England, they don't vote the queen in, right? She's sitting there pretty. She's a legacy, right? So that's an example of both of them. All right, so any questions about that fill in the notes section? That's this next one. The bottom is the next part. Yep. So we are on the next section below the stars or dotted line, whatever it is. In your first word, this has been confusing people. It's autocracy is your first blank. And then the next one is one. Okay. So an autocracy is a government where one person has total power. Okay. One person has total power. So that means they don't have like the three branches like we do, legislative, executive, and judicial, right? They don't have that checks and balances of power. We just have one person completely in charge. Okay? All right, our next one is looking at a democracy, a government where the people have the power, okay? So they might have the right to vote, the right to say yes or no to certain policies, okay? The right to advocate for themselves, the right to protest. So let me ask you this. Someone raise your hand and tell me which one is the United States, an autocracy or a democracy? Mackenzie? A democracy, very good. Right? Because the people have the power. We have the right to vote, we have the right to protest, we have the right to have certain ideas, the right to our own religion, right? So definitely a democracy. Very good. All right. Ready to move on? Okay, so now we are done with our guided notes and we are on the next slide. Okay, so that's that blue slide, our first blue slide. So I'm going to read you this scenario and then we're going to split off into groups and we're going to talk about what we would do on a deserted island. Okay? Yeah. So the island challenge. We are survivors of a plane crash. We are on a deserted tropical island somewhere in the South Pacific. A week has passed. We have made signs, signal fires, and attempted to contact the outside world without success. There has been no sign of help or rescue on the way. It's time to move to Plan B. So, here's what we know about the island. Slowly, we realize we might be stranded on this island for a long time. We decide we need to try and organize. Here's what we know. The location of the island. It's a tropical region, rains often, and it's hot and humid. Vegetation. It's a beach area, jungle and hills, and they've seen boars, fish, and fruit trees. Supplies. They have salvage first aid kits, bottled water, dinner trays from the wreck, and some suitcases washing up on shore. So that's all we know about the island, okay? A lot of people ask me how many people were on this island yesterday, and I didn't have an answer. So let me just say, let's do 25 to 35 people are on this island with you, okay? Just give you a little idea of what you might need to consider when making your island choices, okay? All right. When we realize we are going to need to live together peacefully to survive, a list of important issues to discuss was created. Each group will go through each of the criteria and write your ideas and suggestions, outlining what you believe would be best. So I will put you into groups. Let's do 2, 4, 6. Okay, yeah, so we're still gonna have a group of 3. So let's do you 3, Jaden, Guardo, and RJ. You guys can all talk, okay? And then we'll just have Camilla, if you can pop back with this group back here with Matthias and Mackenzie. You can just go to that second row, okay? And turn and talk, and then you 3 can talk. Sound good? Okay. All right. So you will be talking about each section concerning the island. Your first one, can someone read me the question on step 1? Can someone raise their, Mackenzie, go ahead. Reasons for having a leader, that is your first step. So we're looking at leader or no leader. Do we want a leader? Yes or no? Reasons for having a leader, reasons for not having a leader. And then your second question, what traits would you want in a leader? So what qualities do you want to see in a leader? And I'm talking about like personality traits, right? And then your next and last question on that slide is, how are you electing that leader? Okay. Now the trick is you only have 5 minutes to talk about it. Okay. So you have to go quickly through each section. First off, decide if you want a leader, find why or why not it's good to have a leader, reasons why, and then tell me some traits and then how you want to elect that leader, okay? So I'm gonna let you guys talk and you will be good to go for 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Other people are looking angry, other than fighting, and it's gonna waste time. That's when we're trying to get but if we get a leader, the leader will help us by organizing the food so that we can finish it faster.
Well, that's what you're putting in the quality section. So RJ, what was your thought? Okay, is that what you were thinking, Garda? Okay. So it's up to you if you wanna write that you don't think a leader is a good idea, Jaden, that's fine. But you're on this island with them, so you're gonna go to the other side of the island, be by yourself? Yeah, well, then you could be a good asset to the group. So why don't you guys go through the section, things, reasons why to have a leader, to not, qualities you'd like to see if you did have a leader. So right, you said survival instincts. That's a good trait. And then look about how, if you were gonna have a leader, how would you get them, how would you choose that person, okay? So that's your next thing. So go ahead and go through those. What did we say here? Okay, so we're having a leader. So what you're doing in this is reasons for having a leader and then reasons against for having a leader. Okay? So what is one of the reasons that you want to have a leader? Okay, so make sure everything's organized, okay? Does anyone have a downside to having a leader? Did you guys think of one?
Like, what is maybe sometimes like one person can't like really help out the whole entire people. A tons of people.
Okay, so maybe just having one leader isn't enough. Is that what you're saying? Okay, yeah. So maybe just putting all that pressure on one person is gonna turn out bad or whatever. Yeah, that's something you can write. Yeah, keep thinking along those lines. It's good. What do we got over here? Are we going leader, no leader? Okay, it's posted on Schoology, so you can always go back. Okay. Okay. So what are we doing? Leader or not leader? Leader. Okay, so you're doing both of them, right, on that slide. So that's a good reason for not having one, and then your reason for having one. Okay, so organization, basically, keeping the peace, and yeah, that's good. Okay, so get those reasons down, and then go to the next question and see what you guys think about that one.
Too much pressure on them.
Okay, you have a little bit less than a minute, so make sure you're wrapping up those questions. Reasons for having a leader, reasons for not, and then deciding at the end of that, do you even want a leader after seeing those reasons? And then going through and saying, okay, what are some traits we do want to see in a leader, right? And then how are you going to put that leader into power? It's okay. Just try your best. You put positive attitude. Okay, so time is up. So we can talk about it. If you didn't get 100% completed with everything, let's just start off with some. Someone give me a reason for having a leader. Raise your hand and tell me. Reason you want to have a leader. Ari. To keep everything organized. Good, Riri. It helps the group out, okay? Mackenzie. They need to know what they're doing. So people need to have a role and know what they're doing. Marie. Okay, so they're in charge of keeping everyone alive. So maybe, finding that protection or whatever, they're in charge of it, okay? Good. Someone give me a reason for not having a leader. All right. They can be bossy. Good. Jaden. Okay, so they could have falsified their credentials, right? Or what they could do, their abilities, and then people might not agree with them, right? And they might, and then there's conflict, yeah. Camilla? Yeah, they could lie, right? Like Jaden said. Rui? They could just not help. They could just be like, hey, I'm the leader. I'm sitting pretty, right? Just hanging out. Yeah. All right. Selfish. Marie? Yeah, right. They could crack. So there's one leader, everyone's going to them with all their problems, and then they just like lose it, right? Okay, so let's just take a poll. If you, after hearing those reasons, who still wants a leader? Who wants a leader after hearing those reasons? No? Okay, and then the other way, who doesn't want a leader? Awesome. All right, so we're about like split half in the class, which is okay. Let's go to the next question. If so, what character traits would you want to see? So the people who do want a leader, what do we want to see in that leader? Survival skills. Encouragement. Good. Great attitude. Jean Marie? Honesty. Anyone else want to add traits? Riri? Organization, right? That's a big one. Good. Okay, so maybe he has a crafty side, can build, right? Okay. So our next one. Someone raise their hand and tell me how they are putting this leader into power. Jaden. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're going to look at the skills of every person on that island and you're going to choose from that. Okay, cool. Anyone else? How are we getting this leader into power? Okay, so their skills again. Okay, so looking at their personality and their skills. Okay. Anyone else? I think if it were me, I'd probably hold some type of election, right? Like we do in the United States. So I'd probably put like the people who maybe want to be a leader up there, or maybe the people who I believe, or the group believes have the qualities to be a leader. And then everyone would cast like a secret ballot and vote. Could be an option too, right? So now we are good to move on to our next slide. Step 2. Can anyone raise their hand and read me the question for step 2? Riri. Property. Good. So what can be done about ownership of property? And when I'm saying property, I'm talking about land, right? And then who gets what and why? Okay. So we'll talk about food and stuff later in the later slides. So right now I want you to focus on property. How are you dividing up that island, okay? Who's getting what and why? So 3 minutes to talk about this with your group, talking about property, who gets what and why. So go ahead. Okay, what were you saying, Gordon? Mm-hmm. Okay, so everyone's building their own shelter wherever they want. Okay.
I've seen a board that really
Mm-hmm.
the right side. So like for property, you would find an area and start building in that area.
Okay, so you're looking at a safe area and probably everyone should be close. Okay, so near the shoreline.
You can do a fence.
Cool.
So you should property.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. So you want to be close to the shore. What do we think over here, ladies? Still thinking? Okay, let me help. So we have this island. don't be too concerned like where you're building it. Do you want people to be close together, or do you want everyone to just go everywhere on the island and find a place to live? Okay, so step 1, we need everyone close together. Okay, all right, step 2, we have this big plot of land where everyone's going to be together. Is everyone going to get the same equal amount? No, you don't think so? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're saying maybe the food section, that's off limits, but what about building houses and stuff? Can they build them? Okay, so they build them equally wherever? Okay. Well, you guys think about that. I think you got a good start. So why don't you write down some of your ideas, okay? What do you think over here? Property.
Or maybe they do it like 2 floor houses, one here in the top, the bottom.
Okay, so you're talking about all basically being in the same like hut area. Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Yep. Okay. So, what do we think? What do we think? Someone raise their hand and tell me their idea concerning property. Riri? Divide it. Divide it amongst the group. Okay, good. Mm-hmm.
It's a tropical island. There would be like hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
So from the shoreline, you could go
Okay, so you're talking about building up in the trees, but then also splitting into groups and then dividing that land in that group. Cool. RJ?
They could live in the trees and occasionally go down and use
Okay, yeah. So maybe your idea is to figure out how to build huts up in the trees. Okay. So yeah, everyone gets like what, 2 trees to build their hut or something? Cool. All right. Anyone else? Kenzie?
And like if you're like a big family and like a smaller family, you could have it like double-story houses, so like one family can be on the bottom and the other can be on the top. And if you need help with like food or kids, you can go over and ask them for help. With it because you'll have like people around that you're going to be able to agree with and work with.
Yeah. So okay, so we have Kenzie's idea was about being in a bigger house. Okay, so being together in that bigger house instead of just like everyone kind of building their own thing. So awesome. Okay, let's go to step 3. We're looking at jobs. And can someone read me the question for step 3? Ari? Okay, so your task is to figure out what jobs are needed on this island. Then you're going to talk about how are people being placed in those jobs. So talk about that with your group. I'll put 3 minutes on the clock. What jobs are needed and how are they being put into those jobs?
Yeah. So, like, I would separate the people in my group into certain jobs. Like, I know how to carve sticks and stuff, so I would put myself in like a weaponsmith area, and then like I'd put people in like a cooking group, and then other people in this group, and then that and that.
Okay, so how are you deciding who gets what job? Skills? Okay, so skills that they have and mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So what do we think here, ladies? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Builders, cooks, yeah.
Also, a person who's like good at climbing to get like the height.
Okay, so someone who can isn't afraid of heights can go get that fruit and stuff up from the trees, yeah. So how are you putting people in these jobs?
Like maybe do like a test to see what like they're really good at. Or, like,
Okay, so like a challenge test, see like if they can run really fast, maybe they're the protectors or if they're super strong, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, good ideas. So what jobs do we need? Okay, so someone who collects wood. Okay, Camilla. Okay, so someone who goes and collects that stuff. Okay, good. What else? Okay, so someone who watches over the food. All right, so how are you putting people in this position? How do you decide who's the food person? How do you decide who's the person who gathers food or goes retrieve firewood or cuts it down? Okay, so looking at their skills, what they can do. Is that what you're thinking? Cool. All right, guys, so let's come back together as a class. Remember, when every group is sharing out what they're talking about, let's remember to be quiet and allow them to share because we want to hear everyone's ideas, right? So, someone raise your hand and give me an example of a job you think you need on the island. RJ. Someone who makes weapons. Good. Jaden. People who know how to cook. Riri. People who know how to climb. Okay. Jean Marie. People who know how to build. Anyone else? Jaden. People who know how to hunt and fish. Okay. So people who know how to specifically hunt certain types of fish. Okay. Ari. Okay, so someone who can identify the food and then actually cook it correctly. Okay. Riri. Someone who can get fresh water, right? Good. Mackenzie. Okay, so fruit keeper, someone who's making sure those fruits are good and watching them. Yeah, they can tell. Yeah, yeah, good. Camilla. Okay, so a person who goes and gathers firewood. Good. Riri. Okay, someone who can build shelter, right, and get that material. Good. Those are all awesome jobs. So let me ask you this: how are you putting people into that job? Ari. A challenge to see what their strengths are. I like that. Guardo. Okay, so just talking about your skills, if I say that I am good at cooking, that probably means maybe I should be a cook. Yeah, okay. Jaden? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, so just looking at whether or not they have the physical attributes to do that job. Okay, Rui? Testing their skills. Okay, so sort of like a challenge or just like, maybe it's even a knowledge test, right? Cool. Awesome ideas, guys. So, let's go. This will be probably our last one. We might not get to talk about it. but I'll let you guys get started on it, okay? So this one you're looking at laws. You need to talk about, do you need laws? Yes or no? Okay. What laws are necessary for the island? If you say you don't need laws, think about what laws are beneficial to have here in the United States, okay? So they can be the most basic laws you can think of, right? You probably don't need a speeding law, right? Or the fact that, people have to go to school or something on the island, maybe particularly. But you can think of other ones that are important, okay? So I will let you talk about that. We probably won't get to talk as a class. I'll tell you to pack up in a little bit, okay? All right, so go ahead and talk about it. Talk about laws. Do you need them or not? What laws are important to have? Okay, so you guys talk about restrictions and going out to the ocean.
Most fish are
Okay. Okay, so staying outside, all right, for protection. Yeah, you don't know. Yeah. It goes straight down into a big gap. Yeah. Interesting. Do we have a law? Do we have a law? Okay. Okay, so like a buddy system, so everyone has to go with a buddy. Okay, cool. And then like there's a perimeter too, can't go too far. Yeah. Do we have a law over here? Okay, so you're gonna have like weapons laws. So maybe someone shouldn't have a weapon, right? Maybe it's like an age thing. Okay. You don't get one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I like that idea. Okay. So law to protect whoever, whenever. Okay. Cool. You have a question for me, RJ? You're gonna have to wait to the other class because we're gonna pack up in 1 minute. Okay, sir? All right. Okay, about a minute and 30 seconds after this clock run out, you are free to pack up, okay? After the minute 30 is over, you are free to pack up.
develop like fear
Okay, about 30 seconds left to talk, and then you're free to pack up and stand behind your desk and wait for spray.